So did Dr. Wright lose the COPA case on purpose to invoke promissory estoppel on this BTC Core case? Dude, there's some bold claims right now on his X account that are rather compelling. And one of which is the claim that because the court found he's not Satoshi Nakamoto, therefore he's not the one that created the Bitcoin system, therefore he didn't make any of the promises in the white paper or any of those other forums outside the white paper. That wasn't him, according to the court. So therefore he now is just an investor and a developer. All right. And the claim is that he could invoke what's called promissory estoppel. Now, what that is a legal principle, and it has to do with when a promise is made in a contract, then the person who, it's stopped. It's stopped from raising a defense against it. It's made. Now, there's some nuances to it, so I can break it down here in a second. But all right, so let's break this down a couple ways. One is like how Kraken responded to this already, all right? And then two, how this could play out. So first of all, Kraken in their first response to this same, champagne passing off style case 2 years ago, they said there was no evidence of Satoshi Nakamoto making any clear promises, any distinct, clear promises, unconditional promise of the protocol not changing. This was their claim. They said that it was not clear in any way that Satoshi Nakamoto made that claim. All right, so no substantial facts from it, and that Bitcoin is a decentralized system, and it's evolving in nature, and that promissory estoppel would not apply because there's no significant evidence of that in any of the Satoshi writings or papers. All right, that's their response. They're probably going to come at that again. Now, here's the other side. Now, if the white paper and the other writings from Satoshi are what's called like clear and specific and unambiguous, meaning that it's not just for the court to determine, well, what did he mean here? Did he mean this or did he mean that? If it's unambiguous that the Bitcoin protocol and the promise that was made in the white paper and the early writings was to be set in stone, immutable, not to change. If that is unambiguous at all, then, and there's clear evidence that was Satoshi Nakamoto's, the creator of Bitcoin, made an unambiguous promise that the Bitcoin protocol would remain in stone, immutable, then the principles of promissory estoppel may apply. So that would mean that anyone who relied on that promise, is protected by it because that promise was made by that person, that entity, Satoshi Nakamoto, and therefore, if Dr. Wright in this case or anyone else is relying on that, building businesses on it, developing on it, then promissory, they're stopped. I mean, they can exercise. It would apply. So basically, applying the principle of promissory estoppel would prevent the original promise from being violated. So the courts particularly are given this significant investments and reliance on this by other claimants and the stability of the Bitcoin protocol as envisioned by Satoshi. So the presumption against change in common law would overcome by the strength of the principles pointed towards enforcing Satoshi's unambiguous promise. So the question for this case is going to be, did Satoshi make an unambiguous promise? Unambiguous meaning, is it going to take 5 years for the court to read what the heck he meant? Okay, it sounds like what it's going to come down to. And I bet you there's a lot of other people would answer that faster than I am. It's not really a legal question. It's about people who know Bitcoin, who know it way better than I know it. And they actually know that white paper way better than I do. And the writings of Satoshi, what the heck did it say? Did he make a very specific promise? This is the way the protocol, it's going to be immutable. Or was there any gray area? Was there any gray area in it or not? Because if the gray area is there, well, this is going to go on infinitum or infinity. and it's probably going to it'll lose. So I'd like to find that out. Was there an unambiguous promise? Is it clear and specific about an immutable ledger, that it was going to be a peer-to-peer cash system? Well, you know what? Let's take a quick look. All right, this is just a couple points highlighted on the white paper that I'm going to read, and I'm going to just throw out there. A peer-to-peer cash, a purely peer-to-peer cash payment, and purely peer-to-peer cash payments from one party to another without going through a financial institution lost if there's a trusted third party. Using a peer-to-peer network, hashing them into an ongoing chain, forming a record that cannot be changed. The longest chain. That's just the abstract, some of the words from the abstract. So, forming a record that cannot be changed. Interesting. All right, well, and it's supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system. If you adding another third party that needs to be trusted, the whole system is basically lost, it's saying. It has to be, the whole benefit is making it peer-to-peer. So if BTC added another party, well, I don't know. Did they add Lightning Network and all these other parties? Or, I mean, they're still doing it peer-to-peer. I think it's 7 transactions a second. I mean, these are all questions that need to be answered by the court and Dr. Wright in this case. But it's ultimately, and BTC Core. Because if they changed everything, all right, and they're not doing, and they're adding third parties, and they weren't supposed to, and it says it's supposed to be earning a system that cannot be changed. Does that mean that after it goes on the blockchain, then it's not changed, or the protocol can't be changed? There's some gray area there. So this is freaking, one of those cases, though. It's if it's strong, and Dr. Wright's going to know this better than anyone, I would say, the facts. If it's true that Satoshi made an unambiguous promise, and it's clear and specific, it's not for debate, it's not a gray area, then it sure as heck would seem to make a lot of sense to being that promissory estoppel would apply, and therefore the original promise could not be violated, and the court could invoke that. It would be a pretty strong argument. So ultimately, it's going to come down to what did he say? And by reading this post, Dr. Wright sure seems to be confident. But I'm not. I'm going back to the principle that Erwin Rommel taught. School of Law, the freaking head general over there, man. He always taught this, and I hope that I can leave people with this who haven't really studied the law or been in court much. You gotta think. Being in court and these situations are nothing like life, all right? It's just the opposite. In life, you could be happy-go-lucky and you could be positive. I am actually very positive and very uplifting, very, very outgoing, I love it. But in court, it doesn't work that way. It's about cold, calculated efforts, thinking worst-case scenario like military combat. Literally high-level strategic military efforts, thinking worst-case outcomes in each type of situation and maneuvering each step ahead. Not going in thinking, oh, it's a great day. I'm going to win this case. I'm going to win this motion. I got this. No problem. That's fine. Having a good attitude is one thing, but the strategy has to be calculated through the worst-case scenario. Otherwise, you're going to fail. So, for those who are in any way kind of following any of the stuff of this court case, please be mindful of that, to be calculating the worst case scenario and thinking the absolute negative outcome. That's what you got to expect, all right? That way you're thinking, okay, the worst happens, I do this. This happens, I do this. Forget about thinking positive and hoping for things on this, okay? It doesn't work that way. You do that, you're going to fall. You're going to suffer. So be mindful of of this court stuff, it does not apply to everyday life. Okay? So be very mindful. I hope this helps. If it did, hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. All right? This is Gavin. I will see you at the top.